Hi everyone, my name is Otiti Jasmine. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are talking about the peace of God. Yes, we know that the Lord is Jehovah Shalom. The Lord is peace. And when you look at that word peace in the Hebrew, it means more than just calm and quiet. It also means prosperity. It also means well-being. It basically means a state of fellowship between you and God where you know that you're covered, where you can be at ease, where you can be at rest. And so if we are walking in the peace of God, then we have to know, where does it come from? What does it look like? How do we know that we're at peace with God? When we look at Philippians 4, it gives us a blueprint for how to think, a blueprint for how to have his peace always with us. So verse 6 says, be careful, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, right? And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. So let's pause at those two verses. First of all, God is letting us know we don't need to worry about anything. When life comes at us, when we have requests, whatever we have going on, we bring it to Him with prayer and supplication. So you bring it into conversation and you start to entreat. And whether or not you're fasting, you are praying and you are seeking his face and you're being thankful. You're reminding him of what he has said. You're reminding him of who he is. You know, when God makes you a promise, he wants you to remind him of that promise when you're praying. So if God says, I'm going to bless you and bless your family, when you're praying, you thank him for blessing you, for blessing your family. And his promise gives you assurance that he's going to do it. So his promise is basically as good as having the thing, right? Because it calls the things that are not as though they are. So if he says, I'm going to give you a family, he means I'm going to give you a family. So you don't have to worry, will I have a family or not? I'm getting older. What about this? You don't need to get into all of that because we know that God is dependable. He cannot lie, right? And so when he makes you a promise, you can be at ease knowing that the promise is on the way. So that's why Philippians 6 says, Philippians 4 6, there's no chapter 6. That's why Philippians 4 6 says, be anxious for nothing. Because worry is the opposite of peace. Because worry is fear. Worry, fear, anxiety, they're all related. Those are not the things that God has for us. And when you bring it to him, when you are praying, when you're making supplication, when you're being thankful, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, it's not something you can grasp with your rational mind. It's not something you're supposed to be able to grasp with your rational mind. It is a supernatural reality. It's a supernatural gift when you pull on that peace from his word, by his spirit, made available to you by his son, who himself is our peace, right? And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ